Our greatest successes in life are often found in helping others succeed. Welcome to the Life Masters podcast, hosted by Tanya Memme. Discover real-life stories from mentors, leaders, experts, and everyday people who devote their lives to helping others succeed. Every episode takes you on a unique journey, an emotional experience, and tells a story never to be forgotten. Tune in to Life Masters with Tanya Memme and start fast-tracking your journey to success today.
Hi, and welcome to Life Masters. I'm Tanya Memme. Now, today we have April Beyer in the studio, and she has a company called Level Connections. She's a dating and relationship expert. She's phenomenal at what she does, and she's built this empire of a company right here in Los Angeles. And the stories, how you've become who you are, and everything that you do now, so incredible. You literally are a master at what you do, and that's why you're on the show today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So let's start right from the beginning. I mean, how on earth did this even come about for you?
Well, the matchmaking and the coaching?
Let's start with building your company. How did that start as a female? Like, how scary was that? And what were you doing before that, moving up to it? And
right. Well, I always say that I was the reluctant entrepreneur.
I love that. Okay.
Because it's scary. It's, for people who have started businesses, it's a very frightening place to be. It's very isolating. It can be extremely lonely. So it wasn't something I set out to do. I fell into matchmaking, literally fell into it over 2 decades ago. And I was running another agency, and I started to see the flaws that were inherent in that kind of company. And I wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to serve people in a higher way.
So you were working for a different agency, you mean?
Yes.
That was a dating agency?
Yes. One of the biggest.
Oh, wow.
LA.
Okay.
And about 6 years later, after putting a lot of marriages and relationships together, I decided to embark on my own. So I started consulting and being a personal matchmaker. I started my own company, and I did that for many, many years until recently I evolved that business into my new company.
So you got into this at quite a young age.
I was in my 20s. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
fabulous. So what was that? I mean, that must have been somewhat challenging, maybe not. Maybe what makes it different today and as opposed to you at 20 doing this?
Well, I think my instincts were always there, and I think they were always sharp. But of course, as you age, you're going to get better at anything,
right?
If you're going to do something long enough. This requires...
At least that's one of the positives of aging.
Yes, one
Just
of them.
saying. Okay.
One of them.
Yep.
But for me, I was always intuitive.
Yeah.
I always thought in puzzle, as far as how can I solve this puzzle? How can I put something together? And I had a love and a fascination of the why. So I was always that little girl in school saying, why? Why do we have to learn this? Why do we have to learn that? And putting people together is just that, right? Listening to their needs, reading between the lines. And that's what I was good at. And I started doing it, and I had no idea.
Did you set people up in high school? Is that what you're saying? Like
no,
in college?
I never. No, but I was the girl gathering all my friends around and making everybody work all day.
Right.
But for me, when I launched into my first business in 2003, it was a scary time for me. I wanted to keep doing what I was doing. I just didn't want to stay with the company that I was working for. And I really had no intention of working for anybody else. I knew I was an entrepreneur, and I ventured out, and I really just started on a wing and a prayer. Just one client at a time.
That is huge. So you go from working for a company, and probably a cushy little job that you have there. You're happy or whatever, but you know that there's something more for you. And you also said that you have an entrepreneurial spirit, so that's very important. So I'm leaving. Just one day you wake up, you're like, I got to go do this.
Well, there were circumstances involved, but that sort of pushed me out of the nest.
Yeah.
It wasn't as comfy, cozy as I wanted it to be, right, with what I was doing there. For me, it was, I can do this better. I can serve in a higher way if I had my own company. But it was still very, very scary for me to take that leap because I didn't have any funding. I didn't have anyone backing me. I was a single woman on my own.
Wow.
But I knew I had to continue doing this for a living. And the only way to do it was to go into business for myself. And so I took the jump and did it.
How did you start? What was that first thing for you?
Well, I had already been in the business for 6.5 years. So I was known already in the industry, and I'd already put together dozens of relationships and marriages at that point. So it was easy for me just to start one client at a time and getting referrals. And they were very lean days in the beginning. I'll never forget, I was on my way to some big TV meeting, and there was maybe like less than $100 in my business checking account. And I remember waiting for a client's check, and I go to the PO box and I'm thinking, okay, come on, that check has to be in there. And it wasn't there. And I thought, wow, there's like less than half a tank of gas in the car, literally. And I had to get to Burbank, and I had to show up for this meeting looking very strong and very confident. And literally, there was just like hardly any gas in that car, barely any food on the table. And so for me, it was, how do you do that? How do you serve other people when your own life is really, it was scary. Like the money wasn't there, and I didn't have a relationship to come home to. So it was feast or famine.
Yes.
In those early days, really,
Yes.
really tough. But I just knew to keep going and to keep working and to keep being there for other people. And suddenly it just paid off, and I've never looked back.
So what is it about you that makes you different in that way than a lot of other people? I mean, not everybody has an entrepreneurial spirit. Not everybody believes in themselves. A lot of people have, they talk about false beliefs all the time, and they self-sabotage them. Like, how did you become who you are during those years that were so tough, and be so tenacious and just go for it?
I really think it starts young. I think it starts in childhood. I had parents who celebrated me for when I would try things on. If I failed, they'd say, get back up, try it again. If I wanted to venture down a different path, they said, go for it. And I think that early confidence has allowed me to not only be a second-time business owner, but also someone who can put myself out there for other people and coach and guide people on how to be more confident. But if you don't have that at an early stage in life, you have to kind of learn that. You can't be an entrepreneur if you're scared all the time, and if you don't have faith. And I think my faith and that knowing really helped.
So you had really good parents, very good family.
I have to say, I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Yes, I had an amazing support system in my family.
Right. It's very important for parents out there, just so you guys know, always support your kids and whatever they want to do, and support them from a very young age, because it's so important as they develop, especially during the formative years.
Well, a lot of men will say to me, I don't understand why this woman isn't more confident. She's so beautiful. She's so smart. She's so successful. But our confidence as women doesn't come from beauty. It doesn't even come necessarily from success. It comes from something else. And I really think it's that having that ability and that sort of throw your hat over the fence to try things on, and to know that if you fail, you can get back up and you can reach again for something.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I'm sure that you have clients that probably suffer from that a little bit, where maybe they're scared to start dating because they didn't have the upbringing that you did. And so how do you work on clients that are going through that maybe didn't get the upbringing that you did, and you see that it's affecting them now in their older years?
Yes, it's interesting. So for me, the coaching side of my business evolved from many, many years of matchmaking, and realizing that you can put the two most perfect people together and give them that introduction. But if they don't know how to walk through that door, it can be really painful, not only for them, but for me too. So, when you're the matchmaker and you're behind the scenes, and you can see why these two people are so phenomenal for one another, but one or both is missing that because they don't have the kind of confidence in themselves, that can be tough. So I started coaching because I wanted people to have the awareness and that confidence. So what I'm learning is it's really just the confidence, the clarity, and having this feeling of abundance as opposed to scarcity. Because a lot of people come to me with the scarcity and the fear driving them as opposed to the abundance. And so that's what I work on. I work on, what is your true romantic value? If we took away your job and the money you have in the bank, what do you have left? Where do you get your confidence? And I think when people have that confidence, then they get to practice it, and then they have hope. And we should never, ever underestimate the power of hope. So I work through that.
Wow, so you do a lot.
Yeah, it feels
lot.
more like life coaching and life strategy. I think too many people are compartmentalizing their dating life. They think that their work life is here, their dating life is over here. And I say, no, you are one man, one woman, 24/7. You have to be seamless. And so we have to look at friendships. We have to look at work environment. We have to look at economics. There's so much that goes into this that's so above and beyond dating.
Yeah, because people are very swayed by life circumstances or by work or by, it can really kind of infect the current situation, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, so you work with them on that.
Absolutely.
How
we
nice.
have to. We have to. So when I'm interviewing somebody to come on as a client, I have to do that holistic 360-degree view.
Right.
You know, how were you raised? Tell me about the family. Tell me about your siblings. Tell me about your work, your friendships, your lifestyle. What are your needs? What do you need when you get up in the morning? What do you need when you come home at night?
This is so much the reason why you want to work with somebody like April and not go on online dating. Because with online dating, you are not going to get this. You're so not going to get, I mean, this is like one-on-one, very personal. When you do connect to people, you do your research. Yes,
You have to.
You have to. And you care too.
Well, you know, I don't think there's anybody that's teaching, you know, how to educate yourself on you, right? It's very difficult to find that. And a lot of people have skipped over that. And sometimes when you're working with very successful, driven people, they have missed several steps along the way, or they have the wrong mindset or perception. And so they're not wrong. They're not doing anything wrong. But if their mindset and perception is off, then every single thing is off. So we just have to get clear. And I used to think that my work was intuitive, and it is. But it's also based on a lot of practicality. I'm very pragmatic and very logical, because if you can get somebody to think logically, you can actually take their pain down. You can take their pain from a 10 down to a 2 almost immediately if you can get them to understand the why and the what.
Nice. I love that. You're so not like most, I think, I don't want to say dating experts, but people that have these dating companies and stuff. I just find that you're why I wanted you on my show is because you so go above and beyond. And the services that you offer are like nothing I've ever really experienced before. And, but I wanted to ask you, so right now you just started Level Connections. That's a new facet. That's a brand new company.
Yes.
How does that compare to what the old company was? And why did you do it?
Matchmaking has become very stale and archaic. It's old. It's old school. So, you know, before, matchmaking was something that only the wealthy could do. And along the way of doing this, you know, being a very, you know, high-paid matchmaker and a dating and relationship coach, I kept thinking, like, what about the people that can't afford it? They can't necessarily have me. What can I do? And how can I instill my beliefs, my philosophies, my business practices in someone else? And it was always really challenging for me to train other people. And I realized there was actually a method and a process, how I bring clients in, not only how I match them. We're talking about what happens long before I match them. There is a process that I follow, from interview to bringing them in, to how we guide them, to how we do pre-date, post-date feedback. And I wanted to make matchmaking, which was once held only for the very wealthy, and I wanted to make it more accessible and affordable for people. And the only way I could do that was to create intuitive, intelligent technology, basically AI, and infuse that with personal matchmaking to allow more people to get
You did a lot of your technology yourself, too.
I did it all myself.
And you also, get this, for all of us female entrepreneurs out there, you self-funded your company.
I did.
I mean, talk about awesomeness right here.
I did. Another,
wow.
You know, I felt like I was back in the beginning days of when I started my first company in 2003.
Yeah.
And we had some investor conversations early on, but I kept going back to, what can we do? What can I do on my own? And also the learning, when you are hanging out there and it's your own thing and you are self-funding, the pain is there, but I don't run from pain. And I think that's why I'm a good coach, is because I don't think that the pain and the discomfort is something that you should run through. I think it's something that you should run toward, because that's when the learning happens. And when you have funding, it's stressful in a different way, but when you are self-funded, and you are responsible for creating it and paying for it and being responsible for it, the learning is absolutely something that I'm so grateful for to this day, really. But it took a lot of sacrifice.
I'm sure. I'm sure. What would you say was, through these years, the most difficult thing that you've ever had to push through for you as April?
For me, it was
and a business builder, like somebody who's been doing who's done what you've done.
Oh my gosh, it's so many things. The difficulty is starting this self-funding and having aging parents at the same time, and a father having a stroke, and my mother being in the ER at the same exact time. And I had some health issues during all of this as well, where I had a couple of surgeries. And that was probably the most difficult point of my life, was how to be everywhere all at once and to be in a personally painful situation and then having to be there for other people, not only for my staff, but for my clients, for the people that were helping us build all of this. That was extremely challenging for me, learning how to kind of give of myself in all these different directions and be there for everyone.
Wow.
But man, oh man, did I learn what I was made of.
Exactly.
Sure.
So would you say that that was the biggest payoff with all of that?
Yeah, because I realized what I can do.
Nice.
You know, I realized that when
when
I'm pushed up against that wall of stress, something in me comes out that I really like. I didn't know that I could persevere in that way. I didn't know that I could be that strong. And also, being the lead and having to work with engineers and who work from a completely different side of the brain than an intuitive creative, and having to have those conversations and being a woman in those conference rooms and having to assert my power and what I needed and what I wanted and not be walked all over, but to also do it, like, how can you do that as a female leader and do it without losing your femininity? That's the huge, huge challenge for a lot of people, and I certainly faced it.
Wow, I love hearing your story. I could ask you a bazillion questions.
Yeah.
Hence, this is why she's on the show, Life Masters.
You have just listened to another inspiring episode of Life Masters with Tanya Memme. To access the show notes for this episode or to listen to more shows, simply visit www.tanyamemme.com. Master your own life and be inspired to help others to succeed. Join us again next time here on Life Masters.